I've waited years to talk about this, not because I forgot it, but because every winter, when the air turns sharp and quiet, I remember exactly how it felt. Back then, I was part of a small winter hiking group on the Appalachian Trail in northern Pennsylvania. We weren't thrill seekers or paranormal hunters. We were just stubborn people who believed cold weather made the trail more honest. There were 5 of us: Mark, Eli, Sarah, Ben, and me. The forecast warned us, but we ignored it. Snow started lightly around noon, the soft kind that makes everything look peaceful. By late afternoon, it had thickened, swallowing sound. The forest felt padded, muted, like we were walking inside a closed room. That's when Mark went ahead. He always did. Stronger legs, longer stride. Could still see his red jacket between the trees, until suddenly we couldn't no shout, no slip, just gone. At first, none of us panicked. Trails do that. Curves hide people. But 5 minutes passed, then 10. The wind picked up, pushing snow sideways. Eli called Mark's name. His voice sounded wrong, like the trees were absorbing it. We followed Mark's tracks. That's when the tracks stopped. Not faded, not covered. They just ended, as if he'd been lifted straight up. I remember Sarah laughing nervously, saying, "Maybe he jumped off the trail to scare us." But her laugh died quickly. The woods weren't playful. They felt tight. Watching, then we heard footsteps behind us. Mark came out of the trees. Same red jacket, same backpack, same face, but he was smiling wide, frozen, like he'd been practicing it. We all spoke at once, angry, relieved. He didn't answer, just stood there, breathing slowly, snow collecting on his shoulders, as if he'd been standing still for a long time. Eli asked where he'd gone. Mark tilted his head. Gone. His voice was flat, not confused, not joking. We noticed things after that, small things. His jacket was unzipped, even though the temperature had dropped hard. His gloves were missing. His hands were red, but not stiff. And there were no footprints behind him. None. We should have turned back. Every instinct screamed it. The daylight was fading fast, and the shelter was only a mile ahead. His cart started walking without waiting for us. Same long stride, same confidence. We followed because what choice did we have? The deeper we went, the stranger he became. He walked too quietly. He never slipped. He never reacted to the cold. Once, Sarah tripped and fell hard. She cried out. Mark didn't turn around. At the shelter, we lit a fire. Mark sat apart, staring into the trees instead of the flames. I noticed his breath didn't fog like ours. I told myself it was exhaustion, fear, my brain filling gaps. Then, the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of crunching snow. Mark was standing outside the shelter, barefoot, staring into the forest. I whispered his name. He didn't respond. Something moved between the trees. Tall, slow, deliberate. Okay. Mark took one step toward it. I grabbed his arm. His skin was cold, not winter cold. Kay turned to me and whispered something I'll never forget. It's been walking with me since I fell. I let go. By morning, Mark was gone. So were his footprints. We never reported it properly. Who would believe us? Search teams found nothing. No body, no evidence. But every winter since then, hikers talk about a man in a red jacket walking the trail during snowstorms, always just ahead, never leaving tracks. And sometimes they say something tall walks beside him. I didn't believe winter trail stories before this. I do now. I was hiking alone, something I'd sworn I'd never do. After a breakup that left me feeling hollow, the Appalachian Trail in West Virginia felt empty in January. The crowds, no noise, just snow and the sound of my own breathing. I planned carefully. I always did, which is why what happened still doesn't make sense. By dusk, The temperature dropped faster than expected. My map showed the nearest shelter was miles away. I was already tired, already cold. Then I saw light, a faint orange glow. Between the trees, I told myself it had to be a shelter. Someone had arrived before me. Relief hit so hard, my knees felt weak. The structure looked old, too old. Logs stacked unevenly. No markings, no signpost. But the door was open, and warmth spilled out inside. A man sat by the fire. He looked normal at first glance. Middle-aged, heavy coat, beard, frosted white. He didn't look at me when I entered. "You're lucky," he said. "Storm's coming." His voice echoed oddly, like the walls were farther apart than they looked. I thanked him, dropped my pack, and sat. The heat felt incredible, almost overwhelming. That's when I noticed there was no gear, no boots drying, no food, no backpack, just him. I asked how long he'd been there. "All winter," he said. I laughed, assuming he was joking. He didn't smile. As the wind howled outside, he started asking questions. Personal ones, where I was going, why I was alone. Who would notice if I didn't come back? My skin prickled. I told myself I was being paranoid, cabin fever in advance. Then I realized something worse. The fire wasn't consuming wood. The logs stayed whole, untouched by flame. I stood up slowly, pretending I needed air. The man finally looked at me. His eyes reflected the fire, but they didn't blink. "People always stop here," he said softly, "when they're tired enough." I stepped outside. The storm hit instantly, whiteout conditions. The shelter door slammed behind me. When I turned back, there was no building, no light, just trees and fallen snow. I ran until my lungs burned. I followed my GPS blindly, terrified it would fail. I reached a real shelter hours later. Half-dash frozen dot rangers told me there was never a shelter where I described. No record, no ruins. But when I checked my pack, there was ash on my gloves. I still don't hike winter trails alone. And sometimes, the storms roll in fast. I wonder how many people chose to stay warm instead of real. I grew up near the Appalachian Trail in Tennessee. Winter hikers passed through town every year. Some never passed back. Most people didn't talk about that one winter. My brother and I volunteered to help search for a missing hiker, a woman who vanished after a heavy snowfall. Rangers thought she'd fallen through ice near a frozen creek. We followed the creek, downstream. That's when we heard her. A woman's voice, faint, weak, calling for help. It came from beneath the ice. We froze. The ice was thick, too thick, for a voice to travel that clearly. My brother called out. The voice answered, using his name. I hadn't said it. The voice begged us to come closer, said she was cold, said she was trapped. Then another voice joined it, and another, all layered, slightly out of sync. We backed away, slowly. The voices grew desperate, angry. The ice cracked, not from pressure, from below. We ran. Later, officials said no body was ever found. They ruled it exposure somewhere else. But locals know better. They say winter on the Appalachian Trail doesn't just take people. It keeps them to asterisk every winter. The Appalachian Trail grows quiet. No crowds, no witnesses, just snow, trees, stories that don't end cleanly. If these confessions felt unfinished, that's because they are. And somewhere out there, when the trail goes silent, someone might still be walking.